And this is Chipper, as everybody knows. If you've ever watched any of my videos, he's in 90% of them. Right, Chippy? I thought today I would do a video on the pros and cons of living in the New York Catskill area. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Catskill Mountain Homebody. My name's Amy. Pros and cons of living in the New York Catskills. I'm going to start with the first con of living in the New York Catskills, and that is winter weather. Although there is a little note I want to add here. I've been here 18 years, and the winters have actually gotten more mild in the 18 years that I've lived here. I'm not saying we don't get snow and ice, we still do. But compared to what we used to get when I first moved here, things have definitely calmed down a little bit in terms of like the severe winter weather. But it does snow. All right, so let's talk about the winter weather in the New York Catskills. I'm going to look up the annual snowfall in the Catskill area. If you've watched my videos on the Catskills before, you'll know that there are 4 counties in New York State that make up the New York Catskill area. So there is the 2 southern counties, Sullivan County and Ulster County, and then 2 counties a little bit more north, Delaware County and Greene County. The New York Catskills is a pretty broad area north of New York City. We're about 2 hours, depending on where you are, about 2.5 hours north of New York City. Yes, it is cold here. We're at higher elevation. We're at higher elevation even than Orange County, which is the first county moving south toward New York City. So, I'm from North Jersey. That's where I grew up. In the New York Catskills, we are about 10 degrees colder than northern New Jersey. So, it's not too much colder here, but we do get more snow because it's more cold. The winters can be long because we get we still get snow in March. Although I will say all the snow's melted now because we've had a few 60-degree days. So it's the middle of March now and there's hardly any snow left. But it doesn't mean we can't get a snowstorm. We could get a snowstorm in April. You know, it's not unheard of. So if you move to the New York Catskills, here's the lesson we didn't learn. And I'm going to show you some video and some pictures. We moved here in the fall of 2006. And we had sold our house in California, and we were determined to buy a house in the Catskills. We didn't want to rent. So there wasn't much for sale. It was slim pickings for a good house, so we had to buy a fixer-upper house. We bought a fixer-upper house. I'll show you photos of it. It was a raised ranch, little house, maybe 1,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Had over 5 acres of land. The problem with that house was it was on a mountain. Our driveway was very, very long, very windy, and very steep. And we learned that first winter that if you don't have an all-wheel drive car, you can't get up the driveway as soon as it snows. So that driveway was painful. And we lived there for like 14 years. And every winter I would watch the news and I would see when is the snow coming, because I would be concerned not only about going down the hill to get to work, but then I would be tracking the snow to see, can I get back up? If I went to work in the morning and there was a snowstorm that hit, let's say at noon, and I'm not coming home till 4, I might not be able to get back up my driveway. That was a real concern. And to walk up mountain driveway in the snow with my book bag and whatever other things I brought was a nightmare. When we were able to move in 2020, I insisted we find a house with a flat driveway, and that's one of the things I love about this house. There's no mountain, no hill. I can get in and out. Doesn't matter how much snow, it's flat. I love it. But if you move to the Catskill Mountain, it's mountains. Don't buy a house with a mountain driveway unless you are brave. That driveway would take my husband 2 hours to clear in a ride-on tractor. And I have a video. I'm going to show you a video of him in his ride-on tractor. It had a cover so that he could keep dry in a snowstorm, and it had a light, and he would go up and down the driveway and it was like a snowblower with a tractor, and it would take, even with that, it would take him 2 hours at least to clear the driveway. That's how long the driveway was. So it was a big project. Much easier here. We have a much shorter driveway. So I don't miss that house, and I don't miss the driveway at all. So that's the first con. Now, let's look at a pro. We'll do a con and we'll do a pro. All right, a pro for the Catskills is the summer weather and the fall weather are spectacular here. Our summers, because we're cooler and we're a little higher elevation, are perfect weather. Very little humidity, very few heat waves. I mentioned this in other videos. Our last house had no air conditioning. We had no central AC and no window AC. We had window fans, and that was enough. And it would get so cool at night that you could blow the cool summer air in with window fans. And that would keep the house cool until maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when it would get hot in the house. But then the sun would set and we would put the window fans on and it would cool down again. Most of the summer days are spectacular. They're just gorgeous. It's gorgeous weather. And then the fall. I mean, this is heaven on earth in the fall. The Catskills, it's crisp. It's warm during the day, though. It's a little cold at night. It's breezy. It's on sunny days. The leaves changing. The perfect weather. Honestly, this is the only place I want to be in the fall, is the Catskill area of New York. It's amazing. All right, the second con that I'm going to bring up, the second con and pro are related. So let's start with the con. Let's talk about, and this is something I haven't really mentioned on this channel yet, but I want to talk about diversity. If you go online and you look up what people say about the Catskill area or upstate New York as a whole, people will say, oh, there's no diversity in upstate New York, or the Catskills has no diversity. So let's tackle that complaint about the Catskills. Naturally, we're not going to have the same diversity as a city like New York City, because we're a very small population compared to New York City. So on the con side, it is correct that there is less diversity in the Catskill counties. Okay? There just is. And people put that as a con, especially if you have children. It's nice for your children to grow up in a more diverse area where they can meet people from different walks of life, different religions, different races. I think that benefits children than if they're just growing up with all the same people. Having a diverse community has a lot to offer. It does introduce you to a variety of people. If we were all the same, how boring would life be? We'd all eat the same food. We'd all speak the same language. We'd all have the same religion. It wouldn't be as interesting. So I would put that as a con, is that, yes, there is less diversity in the 4 Catskill counties. Now let's take the flip side, the pro. And the pro is that there's more diversity here than you think. There's a lot more diversity in the 4 Catskill counties than you would think. So I made a chart. I made a chart based on the U.S. Government Census Bureau data. And I'm going to put the chart up, and we're going to go over it together here. I'm going to actually go on my computer in a minute, and we're going to look at that chart together. But let's look at the reality of the diversity in the New York Catskills. Before I go on, I will say my son grew up here. We left California and moved here when my son was starting kindergarten. So my son did all his schooling in the New York Catskills. Now, I know we only lived in one county of the Catskills, but I will say he did have a diverse experience in school. Yes, of course. First of all, I should note that I'm 100% Italian. My husband is part Hispanic. So we have a Hispanic last name. So my son is partly Hispanic, okay? In his school, there are a lot of white students. He did have a lot of white friends, but he also had African American friends. He has a friend who's of Pakistani descent, who is Muslim. So there was more diversity in his school than you would think. You can't just assume everybody upstate is white and Protestant and of a certain political party, because it's much more diverse than that. All right, let's look at my chart and I'll show you guys a little bit of what the statistics say about the diversity of the 4 Catskill counties. All right, I'm switching to my computer view. This is a chart that I made from the U.S. Census Bureau website, and I have listed the 4 Catskill counties here, and I have divided the percentages of residents and the total population as of July 2024 in each of the counties. So in looking at this chart, I should note that I left out Alaskan, Pacific Islander, and Native American, since the percentages were less than 1% in each of these 4 counties. If we look at the chart, we can see the most diverse of the Catskill counties and the least diverse. Sullivan County is the most diverse out of the 4 Catskill counties. And you can see the statistics here for each of the 5 main areas I've pulled. And the total population is about 80,400. Interesting little side note. The Catskill counties have actually increased in population since the pandemic, which I think is interesting. All right, so if we take Sullivan County, we do have a majority of people white or non-Hispanic, but there is 19% Hispanic and 11% African American. The biggest of the 4 counties is Ulster County in terms of population size. So Ulster County has 182, almost 183,000 residents, but they're not as diverse as Sullivan County if you look at the percentages. The least diverse county is Delaware County. So Delaware County is the least diverse out of the 4 counties. But if you look at these statistics, you can see there is some diversity in the New York Catskill counties. Yes, the majority of residents are white. However, there are growing minority groups in all 4 of the Catskill counties. I didn't touch religion in this discussion. That's a video for another day. I'm only talking about race at this point. So if you look at the statistics, there's more diversity in the New York Catskills than you would think, because a lot of people just dismiss upstate New York as being just white and lacking diversity. But there's more diversity here than you would think. Is it as diverse as New York City? Obviously not, because New York City is it has millions of people in New York City, so that's going to be much more diverse than a city like Kingston, New York, in Ulster County. All right, so that's a pro, is that there is diversity in the New York Catskills, but it's not as diverse as New York City or other larger population areas. All right, I'm back from my computer. I made myself a cup of coffee. All right, you ready for the third con and pro of living in the Catskills? Okay, the third con that I've come up with in terms of living in the Catskill area of New York is there is a lack of some cultural activities. A lack, not an absence. But I'm talking about things like museums or cultural events. Obviously, in a less populated area, we have less of that. If you live in a city like New York City, there's hundreds of museums you can go to. There's hundreds of cultural activities. You can go see Broadway shows. You can go see the ballet. You can go see the opera. You can go see, there's comedy clubs. And there's so much to do in a city like New York. And then you come to the Catskills, and there's not going to be as much of that here, obviously. So I would put that as a con. I'm sure it's very nice to live in New York and be able to go to all those cultural things all the time. That's probably a benefit of living in a city like New York or in any urban area. All right, so that's a con for living in the Catskills. Let's do a pro of living in the Catskills. What we lack in cultural opportunities. We have less museums here. We have museums, though. There are historical museums. There are art museums. There's a lot of museums up here, but not the same as a city would have. So what we lack in terms of like museums or shows, we make up for in outdoor activities. There are many opportunities to do things outdoors in the Catskills. You can go whitewater tubing. You can go zip lining. There are mountain bike trails. There are hiking trails. There's camping. Do you hear these dogs? There's fishing. There's camping. There's a lot of outdoor activities that people enjoy here. So it's give and take, Do we have as many operas here? Do we have as many theater performances here? No. Do we have theaters here? Yes. There are theaters. There are museums. But again, it's not going to be the same as living in a populated area, a more populated area where there's a lot more to do. So that's the give and take. If you like the outdoors, there's a lot more we offer in the New York Catskills. If you prefer indoor activities like museums or shows, well, then the city's going to be a better bet for you because there'll be more opportunity for that there. In this video, I'm trying to mention things that I haven't really mentioned in other videos as much. So I could go on about pros and cons, but I don't want to reiterate things that I've mentioned in earlier videos. Like in earlier videos, I've talked about the low crime rate in the Catskill Mountains. I already did that, so I don't want to go into that again in this video. I will put links to a few of the other videos I've made on the New York Catskills if you want to watch them. I've made videos on moving to the Catskills. I've made videos on moving to the Catskills, on culture shock moving to the Catskills. I've done videos on the 10 reasons I love living in the Catskills. So I'm going to put in the description of this video links to some of the other videos, and I'll link at the end of this video a playlist of all my Catskill Mountain videos. So if you want to learn more about the New York Catskill area, you can just watch those videos. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that this video has helped open up your eyes a little bit more about life in the 4 New York counties that make up the New York Catskill Mountains. Please like the video. Consider subscribing to my channel. I also make videos on cooking and decorating my farmhouse, but a lot of videos on the Catskill Mountains. So please consider subscribing if you haven't already. All right, enjoy your spring, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.